Here I am. How do you do? Okay. Where were you? Oh, there we go. All right, I'm on. Here we go. Here I am. Here I am. Oh, here we go. Five, four, three, two, one. It's funny. I used to be a big sire like that. I used to go, especially after I quit smoking and then I started jogging. This is like 2002 or something. And I'd just be around. I go, and people would tell you, "Is everything all right? You okay? Are you mad? Are you tired? Exhausted?" Like, but it actually was because I felt good. I was exhaling because my lungs were alive for the first time in 15 years, and just felt good. I'm happy, sire. My sires are happy, happy, happy. Um, but okay, so I'm going to improve the world today here, starting with an epiphone that I had over this weekend. You know, you guys know. Ooh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a bitch. I was up really early driving Alice and my daughter to the car so they could go to the train station so they could go to Boston really early and live life in the town and have $50 lunches and do all sorts of stuff. So I was up early. I'm not tired. I actually feel pretty good. I just feel comfortably numb a little bit. You know what I mean? Um, then I came back and in the 80-degree weather, I was trying to mow this hill I have, and I can only do a few mows at a time. I'm really kind of fat, and at the same time, it's really hot, and the mower has no drive belt, and it's so the weeds are so tall there that I have to go back over stuff, and like I was getting signs like from my body saying, "Okay, so we can either power you and your organs and your lungs and your heart, or we can push the mower because we have to shut down some part of the grid here, Tom, if you want to continue." And so I had to keep going out there, and it's tough. Nobody cares. I'm such a pussy. Ugh. But it's tough because the lawnmower is a little too tough. The ripcord, whatever it's called, is a little too tough for my son to really use. Well, he's a little bit too small. He's almost big enough. But so anyway, why did I mention? Okay, so that's why I sound like that, and that's why I'm like a little just svelte. I did try to get Alice to come on with me tonight, but I got a whole bunch of great stuff, so it doesn't matter. But I do want to mention Alice for a second. I want to mention there are times, sometimes, and I only know how guys think about this, not girls. I mean, I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing my "Give Me Your Napoleon" T-shirt from Burn Barrel merch. It's all there. You just have to get past about 50 pages of monkeys and fighter planes, and then you can order this shirt. To me, this is my crowning moment. I mentioned this 5 years ago, 6 years ago when this podcast first started. It's just about the anniversary, actually. It was in May, so it's gonna be 6 years now. So my crowning moment was when me and Alice went to this really half-assed Dunkin' Donuts in Melrose when we lived there. This is 10 years ago or so, whatever. We lived there near the Jerry Jingle Highway, whatever that is. And we both got like this. this chocolate drink that was a coffee but had chocolate settled at the bottom, and I had an Epiphone right there. And I looked and I said to Alice, I want the bottom part of her drink. So somehow my mind clicked, and all the creativity I had in my life came to that one moment. And I asked her, I said, "Give me your Napoleon." And she said, "What?" I said, "Give me your Napoleon. Give me your Napoleon." She said, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And I said, "Napoleon bottom part. In other words, I want the bottom part of your drink." And she laughed, and that was really a 3-point shot right there. It was like that was crowning moment. Give me your Napoleon bottom part. Come on, I'm not going to come up with anything ever better than that in my life. I understand that my entire legacy. That's all I wanted. I want an unmarked grave. I just want to be actually fed into a tree shredder, to be honest. But who cares? It doesn't matter. So that was the moment I thought, this lady already likes me. That's helping. Because obviously, I mean, it goes without saying that I don't think she totally liked me because I'm a 9.5, which I am, and that I'm kind of ripped and tanned and whatever. So it's got to be other stuff I do. Because she likes the type, so it's got to be stuff I say. And so that was like my crowning moment was right then. Give me your Napoleon. That was it. Never gotten better. That's it. Of course, I'm wretched because I have to remind the world of this because nobody cares, but a couple people have said they appreciate it. So that's one of those moments where I think she said, "Well, I love this guy," and it makes sense. And she heard me when I was on the radio, and she was just a listener. And I was saying all sorts of stuff. I couldn't lose. I was on the radio, being funny in a way she liked. Couldn't lose. Saying stuff. Sometimes though, there's these moments where you can kind of fall in love with somebody. I think that this is true. And guys, you know this, especially when like chicks do something cool. You can fall in love with somebody in an instant. And for Alice, there's a couple things. Actually, one happened last night. Like last night, I'm sleeping and suddenly her arm is on my back and just kind of caressing me. And this is like really lovely because she's exhausted. I'm exhausted. I've got a CPAP on. I'm fat and don't smell good. But it was like really kind of nice. It was nothing. It was innocent, but it was like affectionate, and it was like 3:18. There was no reason for that, but it was like kind of that. This is great because in my mind, there's a beautiful blonde woman who I think is great, and she's like just being great, and I'm like, this is great, and she's touching me on my back. That's fine, whatever. So it's wonderful. But another time that Alice like took one thing for me to like think it was awesome that she did. It's been a few. Most of them are her behaving badly. But there was this one time we were at this guy's kitchen. Friend of mine. We're in his kitchen. We had all been to a bar or something. We're like, it's post bar. Everybody's in the kitchen drinking cocktails, getting rowdy and loud. It's like 7 years ago or something. And the guy had spent like 20 grand in the kitchen. He was still mad. His wife made him do it. She was a moron. They're divorced now, but she made him do it. And they had this backsplash that was 6 grand, and this freaking ice maker that was 2 grand, and these kitchen cabinets and these drawers closed automatically if you try to get it to go. And it was like really an obnoxious kitchen. But they spent 20 grand on it. He hated it. But she was the driving force behind it, whatever. We're all standing in a corner. We're all standing in a circle in the kitchen as you do late night, as you're carousing. Well, not carousing, but, just enjoying in the evening. And one of my friends, who some of you guys have met, found his reflection in the mirror and was saying, Jesus, I look 50. And one person said to him, your eyes are kind of like wrinkly for a guy who's the youngest guy in the room. And he said, "Yeah, I know. I have eye aids." And Alice did this spit take because she had a mouthful of drink. She did this spit take that caked half this kitchen and was so guttural. It was freaking fantastic. And it was just like a cool moment because she couldn't help herself. She lost all decorum. She was just, and it was just a very, sometimes something hits Alice and it's just too funny and too guttural. And it was like, great. There's just moments. Sometimes a girl just does something so cool and natural that it just blows you away. And I know that women, it's the same. It's the same. You know who did one today is like Robert Kennedy when he's like carousing snakes. Carousing. Stop using carousing. Corralling snakes. And they were biting him in the last 2 days. He's like, you just grab. He's a psycho. He doesn't care. He's an animal himself. So the animal's like, "What are you? Aren't you afraid of me?" And he's like, "No." But he's been doing that, and I think like if you're Cheryl Hines, you got to be like, just like primally attracted to that because he's a guy who's fearless among nature on a thing that you're scared of, and he doesn't care. He's got the snakes. He's doing what he wants, and there's plenty of videos out there of him catching snakes. She's gonna be like, "This man is a wild man," and that's gotta be kind of hot for some ladies. So here's a brief second of Dana Perino. Now this is Dana Perino. You guys know her. I've loved her since she was Bush's Spock's his press secretary, the public face of the Bush administration towards the second half of his terms. And she was like back then, of course, she's right about my age, I think. And so she was in her late 20s back then, and or maybe early 30s, I'm not sure. But really cute and little diminutive and blonde and earnest and lovely. And so she's always, and I still like her. And I've interviewed her in the past, and she's exactly who you'd think she would be. Very decent, very proper, very sober, very sweet. And she's very attractive. And she can't help it. No matter what she does, she's always going to look attractive doing it. That's why I always have thought that Greg Gutfeld has pined for her for years. He looks at her and says, isn't she fantastic? So Dana Perino was interviewing this guy on her podcast, the Perino on Politics podcast, which I listened to. And he said something and she laughed. And I thought, that laugh itself, that's freaking everything. It takes 1 second. But I thought it's so primal and she can't contain it. And I thought, wow, that's attractive. And you know what I mean? I don't think I'm alone in this, but I'm going to play this guy talking. I don't think I have his name, but forgive me. It's Taiwan Strategic Role. That's the name of the episode. And here's Dana Perino, and there's this guy talking, and listen to her laugh afterwards. Oh, no, that's just a laugh. Hold on. Shithead Tom.
The great global question is, will President Trump actually defend them, or will he not actually defend them? Biden 2 or 3 times said he would actually defend them, and then the White House quickly said that was a gaffe. He's an old man. He doesn't know what he's talking about, which may or may not have been, that may be a different version of strategic ambiguity.
One of the big issues is, of course...
What a laugh that was. How cute was that? She couldn't contain it for a second. Here it is again. She couldn't contain it. How great. You know what I mean? It's just great. Now, speaking of the Biden administration, this is fantastic, too, because Jill Biden is back in the news. I should move this. I can't move this computer now, unfortunately, because it could disconnect and screw up everything. Jill Biden is back in the news. She went on to do an interview. And it just reminds you of how vile this administration was and what a bunch of total liars they were. So here's Jill Biden. She's out here now. This is her new take, right? Remember the debate where Biden stepped in it and was not cogent and it was a terrible time. Here's the Biden moment, right? Come on,
baby. My mother's put him in cages. He was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
And that was the end of the Biden presidency and the Biden political career. That's all it took. So Jill Biden, of course, then grabbed him, brought him out in public, after that, rather than having the decency to like leave the guy alone, get him help, whatever, brought him out in public. Right after that. He still looks catatonic.
I can't thank you all enough for staying and for being here and for all your support. Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
Ooh.
And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie!
Oh,
Yes.
that's not helping, Jill.
So, Joe, I'm going to hand it over to you because we have such a great group of supporters here. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. You've been here the whole time. I see it. I see that patch there.
Ooh.
Look, folks, you know, I shouldn't say this, but my brother always uses lines from movies. There was a famous...
Yeah, okay. So, and then after that, by the way, remember, they didn't go right home. She took him right out to Waffle House. And he's shuffling around the Waffle House. Unable to talk, really. He's catatonic. He does not look well here. He needs to be put in bed. But they didn't put him in bed because of the obvious reasons. And the next day, of course, here was Karine Jean-Pierre.
Did the president get examined by a doctor, or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night.
I think.
And the president has spoken to this. And he understands that.
Did the president...
So there you go. But that's not it. Let's remember, by the way, just how the press treated this whole thing. What does this one do? Let's see if this one does anything that I needed to do. Oh, no. Okay. Hold on. Remember how the press treated this whole thing? Okay, here we go. Just maybe have some pre-roll.
Told for weeks by Democrats who say, oh, in private meetings,
This is
I've
afterwards.
seen Joe Biden do cartwheels and handstands while doing trigonometry while solving all the nation's problems. We now know that every single person who said that has been lying to the American people.
Yes, this is the Daily Signal, by the way. Yes, they have been.
But I am not convinced that it was a bad idea to do the debate this early, because part of the calculus there is, let's not look like we're afraid to debate. Sure. And let's debate really early, so if it goes really badly, a lot more water will be under the bridge by the time anybody has to make any sort of decision based on this.
I love that guy. That's a good man.
It's not a
He
good
loves
man.
his country. He's doing the
He's not
best
a
that
good
he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that.
I don't know, honestly, what the solution is tonight. I know how this felt tonight. It felt like a gut punch.
It was an atypically bad performance, okay?
Betting
And it was also
field
one
was
night. So yes, was it an important night? Yes, but it was one night in the course of a campaign. So I think let's see how voters react to it. Let's see how voters react to it.
The problem with the one night. The problem with the one night is that it's a one night that helped confirm people's fears. It's the one night that everybody was watching. That was essentially, Trump said, you ought to take a test. That was his test.
I think putting him on the right, I still will maintain. I know it seems like a small thing.
Joy,
I think it was the wrong decision. If you had the first coin flip, you should have put him on the left, so he would have looked like he was looking at Trump instead of looking out, into the distance.
Or told him to just look the other direction. I mean, they knew where the cameras were.
He goes through 6 days of preparation at Camp David.
More than that.
And they know the rules.
It was more than a week.
Okay, so more than a week. They know the rules. He practices with the mics. He knows every one of these questions is coming.
and yet he couldn't fill the time. Now, I just want to, let's see what the White House is saying. Sources close to the White House are saying he had a cold, wasn't feeling well. I mean, as you would expect, that came out early on in the debate. But what accounts for someone with so much experience doing so much preparation and this being the outcome?
Honestly, I think the question answers itself. He wasn't capable of doing any better than he did.
We have been told for weeks.
So there you go.
Weeks by
Scott. Yeah. Remember, like all this stuff, we all saw it. We all saw it. We all knew that it was terrible. We all knew that it was historically terrible. But here's Jill Biden today now, saying this now in an interview.
Horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified, I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since. Never.
Or since?
Yes, or
You've
since.
never seen him like
never.
that?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
Even though he's having a stroke, she put him out there anyway. Put him out there anyway. Waffle House anyway. She is a terrible person. They're both terrible people. Like, for anybody to say that they're like good people, are you serious? Well, how vile! And by the way, there's another thing. It's like, so, and also, don't tell me about about the East Wing. You freaking lied the whole time. All of you people lied the whole time. We all knew. We talked about it. We talked about it in 2020. I talked about it with Jerry. We talked about it. We all talked about it. How he was ceding his time during debates and things, doing stuff that you don't do if your mind is there. But his mind was gone. These people, man, bitching and moaning about the East Wing, which reminds me. Guess what Jill Biden's book is called? Jill Biden book. The book is called View from the East Wing, a memoir. Can you imagine that? How freaking beautiful is that? Like, how vile is this person who thinks she's scoring a point because, Trump's changing the East Wing? View from the East Wing. Holy frig. If there's ever a reason now to demolish it more than ever, all right. Let me see if I have anything else on Biden. Probably not. But she is like, she's out there today, and it's just like freaking disgusting. Biden. Wasn't that funny, though, to see some of the people in the press try to say, oh, no, I mean, it's not perfect, but things are. All right. I'm going to play more sound. Kathy Hochul today. I want to get to the sound. Kathy Hochul today is trying to dunk on Donald Trump. This is Alice Lace. Tweets this out. Governor Hochul tries to own Trump on Knicks fandom and flops hard. Here she goes.
What do you think of him saying he's a lifelong Knicks fan? I think that's how the Times reported it.
I asked him to name the starting lineup from 1993 championship team and see how he does.
And what are you...
So the Knicks won title 1973. There was no 1993 championship. There's plenty of video out there with Trump with the Knicks, like shooting baskets and like getting them in. These people, man, just slow your roll when you go after the guy, because you can get him on some stuff, but he's no dummy. He's not there to lose ever, 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 ever. Let me see. I got a platinum cut. Oh no. Here's Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson on what they're going to do. This is beautiful. About teen takeovers, where teens from marginalized communities are destroying property and causing melees and chaos in the city of Chicago. What's he going to do?
We prevent the vast majority of these from ever taking place.
Right.
There's an effort in city council to hold these social media apparatuses accountable. I believe that we should continue to explore that, and I'm going to continue to work with Alderman Hall around that. It's why we're actually taxing these big tech companies for the role that they have played in harming the mental health and well-being of our young people.
Yeah, the kids are punks and feral and thugs, and that's your fault. You culturally did that. You used the government and Great Society to make sure it would be a permanent situation for the marginalized kids, and now you're blaming big tech. No, you created these kids who are feral. You created this. You won't do the right thing to correct them because of equity and whatever else, because you're psychos and belong in sanitariums. That is correct. Co-eat. My friend Stokey from Muskoka would say. Here's a Graham Plattner cut I did want you to hear. Imagine this. Listen, I want you to hear. This is Graham Plattner getting a question from somebody at one of his town halls. Listen to the room. Come on, baby.
That are in this state that get free benefits.
Okay, so the question is, and I'll load this again. What are you going to do about the legals in the state that get free benefits?
The illegals that are in this state that get free benefits.
They don't. They
don't.
If you listen to what she was saying, no, just hear me out. If you listen to what she was saying, at its core, she's angry about the exact same things you are. People are propagandized, people are misinformed, but people are not stupid. And we shouldn't treat them as such. People are angry because they know they're being screwed. They might get lied to, they might get taken in. If somebody robs your neighbor's house, you don't go over there and laugh at them afterwards. They've been taken advantage of. And that's what this is. People are being robbed. They're being robbed of their critical thinking.
Here we go.
They're being robbed of their empathy. The answer to that is not shame. The answer to that is not anger. The answer to that is empathy and compassion.
Thank you. There you go. I mean, I'm good for him for spinning it like that, but can you imagine these people? They're not getting free benefits. Okay, well then, what do you want to do? Like, you and I can't have an adult conversation if you're not going to admit that people are gaming this system in Maine, for frig's sake. Oh, holy frig, how scary is this? These people are going to suicide themselves into our own deaths with this kind of talk. Psychos. Every last one of them is a psycho. Let's see what else I get here. I thought I had Alice tonight. Oh, here's a good one from this is from I think Gately mentioned this first. Town of Rutland, Mass announced that they're canceling the 250th 4th of July celebrations. They'll not be refunding individuals, and they'll use it for future money. Gately reported that they're doing this because the town voted down a Prop 2.5 override. So in other words, because the town wouldn't jack up the property taxes of the residents, they're now salty and they're canceling everything. These are the vile vermin that run Massachusetts, Maine, and Connecticut towns. Vile Fs. Vile Fs. I say you guys go out and just light fireworks everywhere anyway. Because of fuck. We gotta get Gately on again. Great guy. One of the greats. Brandon Johnson. The Kennedy snake video. He says, response to the many comments about venomous snakes. He's got another one. He's a maniac with rattlesnakes.
Hold on, guys. I'll be back in a flash.
So anyway, it shows him going out back and catching rattlesnakes, and he gets bit. He doesn't care whatsoever. He doesn't care. I think that's very cool. I do have a friend, same guy named Jay, who got me the summer I turned fat. Who got me fat. I'm going to have it in a food show, right? As a matter of fact, this week. He has this too, where he's not afraid of animals. And one time, and this is back when you weren't seeing live turkeys. He saw a live turkey in Chicago, running down the street, and he just grabbed it and ran around with it, totally unafraid. I had guinea fowl and chickens, and I barely touched them at all. I was scared to death. My kids were not. James Talarico is the latest clambake from Texas, who is going to be the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate to go against Ted Cruz, I think. Here's some Talarico. This guy is a clambake for the ages. He's got very thin arms. He's supposedly a vegan, but not. He thinks Jesus was trans.
Before we go further, I want to acknowledge that our trans community needs abortion care too. Defending trans Texans is something we have to do every day.
Anybody who says that should be in a sanitarium. Obviously, here's more Talarico.
You said God is non-binary. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think I was being intentionally provocative with that statement. But what it means is that God can't be defined by human categories. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Galatians, says that in Christ there is neither male nor female.
I mentioned Ted Cruz. He's running against Ken Paxton. I think Paxton will win. But he's a total weird clambake guy. Let's see. Here's another Ken Paxton, Talarico.
For me, prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, my own certainty, my own ego. It's a never-ending process, and it's a painful process.
That's his church sermon. That's okay. That's normal. That's totally normal, I think.
The National Republican Senate Committee is already highlighting comments that you've made as a state representative. For example, they're highlighting this.
God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
What is your response to them using that and explain what you were talking about?
Well, I understand that comment is a little provocative. I said it on the House floor when the extremists in the Republican legislature were picking on school kids who were different. But I don't think it's controversial theologically. Most Christians would acknowledge that God is beyond gender. In fact, the Apostle Paul...
Shut up. Let me see. I believe this Boston Public Library thing. Michelle Wu's office is doing a LGBT advancement, holding a trans period pride event to discuss menstrual equality, equity, and the experience of transgender menstruators. The city's investing time and effort into this. Trans period pride at the BPL, Boston Public Library. Okay, you're all psychos. You should obviously be in sanitariums.
So they're running a handful of highlights of things you've said in the past, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond or clarify. In 2021, in a speech...
I love this, by the way. This guy from CBS says, so they're running this. I'll give you a chance to clarify. You're allowed to just say it, too, because Talarico said it. You don't have to say they're running this. Some Republicans say...
In debate over transgender issues, you said God is non-binary. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think I was being intentionally provocative with that statement. But what it means is that God can't be defined by...
Shut up. Okay, here's Talarico again. Here's an ad against him, I think. Oh, we don't need this. It's all the same stuff. The American flag, here we go.
I often think when reclaiming symbols, I think about the American flag. I think the Confederate flag is a symbol of treason and terrorism. But the American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. And in many ways, like Jesus, like the cross, it's been co-opted and in some ways its true meaning has been betrayed.
Yeah, okay. I'll need him mostly to be away from my kids. Southern border front porch, the normal stuff. Let's see. Whoopi says Dart Jackson, is that his name? Should be allowed to say something nice about Trump because he doesn't know.
There's a whole Congress. There's a whole Congress, all kinds of folks.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that his right to learn about consequences, because I think he's very young and maybe doesn't realize that there are consequences to these things. He's entitled, but this book says if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you.
Yeah.
Okay? If I got free speech, you got free speech. Yep. I don't have to like your speech.
She's allowing Jackson Dart to support Trump, is what she's doing. She feels good about herself for doing it.
I don't have to like anything you say.
Fans, like Alyssa said, fans, supporters, they can respond in time.
That's right. And maybe that's what maybe it's not.
This is liberal, progressive women who are authoritarian and fascist, just like my friend who 2 years ago had the kid come over with the Make America Great Again hat and said, well, how should I educate him? Okay, fine. You're a fascist, but that's fine. That's fine. That's just life. That's life. That's life. Here's one more, Talarico.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
Groomer? All right. That'll do it for now, right? Let's get to the chat, shall we?
Hey, Billy from Manchester.
Hey, Billy.
And for the record, I was not calling. I listened back to my message about Amherst and the SEC. I was not calling Andy a doofus. I was calling Tom a doofus because he's so dumb that he doesn't even remember the conversation.
No.
He thought it was about the actual town, like the physical buildings, like the town, the cafes, the this, the that. What a freaking moron! He might be losing weight. It's all. He's losing his brain too. He's an awful person. 31 seconds. And your wife is a lunatic, by the way. 30.
Correct in the second point. I am not an awful person. I'm not a great person, but I'm not an awful person. I've had my spots here and there. There was a time in the early 90s where I was getting a lot of drinks thrown at me from women. Not for any cool reason, but I think it was particularly surgical in my insults at the time, and they didn't take well.
Hey guys, Andy in Cambridge,
hey, Andy.
5 minutes east of the Phoenix Landing, and plus half the girls at the UMass sound just like Donna.
Ooh.
Cheers.
Yeah, we do like that. Oh, yeah, my girl from Malden sounded like that. That's why I love when Alice plays her. Oh, I found a picture of me making out with her the other day. It's in my... Oh, man, do I miss her. My goodness.
Hey, Billy from Manchester.
Hey,
well,
Billy.
I think the Ozempic's working. You look really, really good, especially under those eyes.
Thank you, Billy.
I think that's where it's targeting. It's really the fat underneath your eyes. Those bags under there are, my goodness,
Yeah.
are those horrible. There's like 6, 7 rings of fat.
It's funny that you say that, Billy, because my Susan from Malden, who's the girl who sounds like Donna, who was, like it said, was my girlfriend in 93, in 94, who had slept with everybody in the town and many people in other towns. She used to say, "You're dinosaur eyes. You have dinosaur eyes." Because I had these kind of back then too, not to this extent. Now I'm old and weathered, and they're just like I'm just a piece of crap. But so it's been nothing new. You know, but it's funny though. I used to be self-conscious about like having dark circles under my eyes, but now my eyes are just like they're Jabba eyes. It doesn't matter. Who gives a freak? I have eye aids, as a matter of fact.
Just hanging, extra skin just hanging off those eyes. 24 seconds.
I know, Billy. It's funny you say that because, you know, I do these video monologues every day for the Main Wire, like a minute or two, and the camera's very close to my face. It just so happens that I have to, you know, I put the camera in a tree, so the tree branches, yada yada, and I got to show the sign and the sign, whatever, and so the camera's close to my face, and I want the high thing so I look less disgustingly obese, but it's really close up in my face, and I look at myself, and I look at my eye bags, and I look at my puffiness, and today, like I had been mowing the lawn, so I was like red-eyed and puffy. And I thought to myself, man, if I were somebody else, I would want to effing beat the crap out of that dude. I know, believe me, I know. I'm not proud of this. We'll see what happens. Bill Clinton used to put Bengay under his eyes, I think. Do we care? Like, who's watching and thinking, I want to behold Tom Shattuck talking? Like, who's doing that? And if you are, I'd like to know, please.
Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, I'm Oliver Darcy. And I'm John Passantino. And welcome once again to the Lucky List podcast. Breaking news out of West Newbury, Massachusetts today, John, where one Thomas Shattuck learned a little something about the laws of physics.
You didn't know this.
When he left a plastic gas can with a long spout, I might add, out in the sun and the heat. You can imagine how much pressure builds inside that spout. So it turns out when the Tom opened the tip, as it were, it exploded, going right into his mouth. What do you think about that, John? Well, Oliver, from what I know about Thomas Shattuck, that sounds like Tom's ideal gas law.
How dare you? How dare you? There's no way you knew.
Thank you.
Steve, there's no way you knew that would happen. I've been around gas cans for a while and been doing this for a while. That has never happened. I was blown freaking away by this. Jesus, how dare you? Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Fun show. Oh, Jesus, I gotta see the messages, the chat. Guys, if you're not on Patreon, join Patreon. Be part of the chat. This is an exclusive chat. There's over 6,000 messages there. Cheswick says, Jerry Jingle. He says, you're so completely gay. I am not gay. You're a gay, as a matter of fact. Joe, you were so good. You answered all the questions. Yep, as we played that. Joe had a... Tom, Jill is a doctor, like I'm a doctor, and she checked him until he was fine after 90 minutes. Yeah, when I stroke out, I go out for ice cream. Yeah, I do look a little bit thinner in this. I've also shaved. It could be that, too. Okay, let me get back to these. Get back to the sounder, dude. Thank you so much, everybody. Please join Patreon if you'd like to. Just talking to Steve Robinson today about expanding our whole universe, making this more part of the main wire, too. I'm very intrigued about that. Thank you, guys. You guys are the best. Please keep the chat stuff coming in the other stuff. I really do look forward to it. I really, really do. I know you're busy, but you're awesome, too. Thanks so much.
C'est la vie.
See how good I am with the board? Here we go. 5. Please keep the chat stuff coming in the other stuff. I really do look forward to the board.
They don't.